Now, after the appalling neglect at the Mid-Staffs NHS Trust, which led to the deaths of hundreds of patients, the government ordered a crackdown on gagging orders which prevent medical staff from speaking out. The head of the NHS, Sir David Nicholson, publicly pledged to help whistleblowers if he caught even what he called a whiff of trouble. But Channel 4 News has seen a letter written by Sir David which raises questions over whether he can deliver on his promise. And we've also seen documents which show how hospital trusts are still able to keep doctors and nurses from publicly revealing safety concerns. Our health and social care correspondent Victoria MacDonald reports.
Somewhere in England there is a dementia ward. It has in the past been short-staffed. It may still be. Patients were sometimes left in their own urine and faeces. Food was placed out of reach. Catheter bags weren't emptied. But we can't tell you where it is, because the doctor who witnessed this has been effectively gagged.
We didn't have enough staff to help patients when they were trying to go to the toilet, and as a result they were ringing and didn't get attention, and either had accidents in bed or tried to go to the toilet by themselves, which meant they fell over and got head injuries.
Yet when this doctor tried to raise safety issues, she was bullied and falsely accused of being abusive.
These elderly people are like my own parents, and if I just walk away and don't raise questions, I have basically betrayed them.
For being a whistleblower, this doctor lost her job and along with it was effectively warned not to talk. Even giving this interview, she is in danger of being sued by the trust.
I did sign that compromise agreement, and basically they paid me public money to keep me silent.
Are you worried that the money that they paid you under that agreement will be taken back now because you've spoken to us?
That's quite possible. That money feels dirty. And if they take the money back because of what I'm doing, but it improves patient care, I couldn't care less.
Gagging clauses have been widely used throughout the NHS, although in the wake of the Mid-Staffs scandal, there have been promises this will change, that whistleblowers will be better protected. Indeed, the Department of Health has recently sent out this letter to the medical unions, including the British Medical Association, asking them to remind their members that they do have the right to speak out on legitimate matters of public interest. The problem is, and has always been, that in these disputes, neither party can agree on what is in fact legitimate. It is a legal requirement in compromise agreements to include a public interest disclosure paragraph, allowing medical staff to raise safety concerns. Yet what often happens, as in this doctor's case, another paragraph is inserted saying they can discuss matters coming to their attention, but only after the date they've signed the agreement, in other words, after they've been sacked. Few, including this doctor, are prepared to challenge this for fear of what might happen. In fact, this man, Gary Walker, is the only gagged whistleblower to come forward since the Mid-Staffs inquiry, and even he was initially threatened by the trust lawyers with having his payoff clawed back. We've spoken to a number of NHS whistleblowers over the years and they all tell a depressingly similar story. First of all, they'll be sidelined or ignored, then the bullying will start. There could be a trumped-up charge of fraud. They may be told that they're mentally ill, literally going mad, and that they need to see a psychiatrist. And then they lose their job. But it's not just the human cost, though that is bad enough. We've now been told of another case in which a junior doctor was pursued through the courts for 5 years. The bill reached millions. Dr. Peter Wilmshurst is something of an expert in whistleblowing. He's been through it himself. But in this instance, he was helping the junior doctor.
They had been asked to do something that was unethical, and they were unhappy with that, so they went to the hospital management with their concerns and were immediately suspended.
The trusts involved did eventually apologise in open court for impugning the doctor's integrity, for falsely claiming they'd lied. They even had to say sorry for suspending them. So case won, but they still had to sign a gagging clause.
£2.5 million legal fees, plus the payment to the junior doctor to remain gagged, plus of course all the management time that have been spent. So I estimate that over the 5 years they must have laid out more than £5 million to keep a junior doctor quiet.
Just recently, though, hopes were raised. The head of the NHS himself said he would step in if he thought whistleblowers weren't being protected.
Wherever I see it, or if I have a whiff of it, I immediately intervene in the organisations with the organisations themselves. So I intervene directly with organisations that I feel are not providing the right kind of support to people who are whistleblowing.
But how confident can people be in his reassurances? We have seen a letter from Sir David to a former NHS employee. It suggests that his hands are in fact tied when disputes between hospitals and doctors are dealt with by the courts or tribunals. He also states that foundation trusts are separate legal bodies to the Department of Health. Therefore, there is no basis on which it may intervene in decisions made either by the court or the parties. Given that many whistleblowing cases involve litigation and all trusts will have foundation status by next year, it immediately raises questions about how meaningful Sir David's promise really is. In a statement, NHS England said,
Sir David has always been clear that he would intervene in cases where he believed individuals were being stopped from whistleblowing. Sir David, though, does not and has not had the power to direct NHS Foundation trusts. However, when contacted directly by individuals who are raising issues of concern relating to foundation trusts, Sir David has raised these with Monitor and the CQC where appropriate. Sir David remains absolutely committed to improving patient safety and the quality of services the NHS provides.
However, none of the whistleblowers we've spoken to feel at all reassured by the promises made.
In a sense, it is mad to blow the whistle in the health service because the punishments and the effects on you can be so great.
Instead, they say there needs to be a fundamental change in NHS culture. No more bullying, no more gagging, no more destroying people's reputations. Because at the moment, as one embittered doctor recently wrote, there are still too many ways to skin a whistleblower.
Victoria MacDonald with that report. And the Department of Health has told us tonight that NHS staff who have the courage and integrity to speak out in the interests of patient safety must be protected and listened to. It says it's funded a national helpline for whistleblowers and provided stronger protections for them in NHS staff contracts.